Welcome on to the next edition of Run with Coach Parry. I am Brad Brown. We've got the Coach Lindsay Parry with us once again. And today we're talking about time-based training programs versus distance-based training programs. Lindsay, welcome back on. Nice to catch up once again.
Always good to chat to you, Brad.
Lindsay, this is a fantastic question that popped up in the forums within the Coach Parry Online Training Club. You've been a huge fan of time-based training programs over the years, let's talk a little bit about, first of all, the reason why. Why do you write your programs with time as the sort of indicator as opposed to mileage?
Yeah, so look, it started in the pre-GPS era, and it started purely because I needed a vehicle where I could get people to stop being competitive with themselves during training. So if I built a program with 3 10K easy runs in the week, plus whatever else, I just found that people tended to try and almost prove to themselves week after week that they're getting better by pushing slightly harder, so that if they ran a better time week after week after week, in their minds they were improving, which then completely shifts away from my whole philosophy of coaching, which is that we need to be doing between 80 and 90% of our training runs very, very easy. And so I started to prescribe training in time rather than distance, so that people were like, okay, I'm going to run for an hour. No matter how fast I run, I'm running for an hour. And that kind of took that edge away, and that thought process. Of course, now we have GPS, so you do perhaps get people that would go, okay, well, now we can check the average speed for that hour. But typically what happens is that people build these routes that take about an hour. And so it still does work, although not to as strong a degree as it did in the past, but it still does work to temper that enthusiasm and make sure that people are actually hitting their training in the zones that they're supposed to be, so that easy runs are easy, hard runs are hard. And that really, in a nutshell, is exactly why I do it.
How do you know you're getting enough mileage in? Because that was the follow-up question in the forum, is if you're training to time, how are you assured that you're running enough miles or kilometers?
And therein lies the second important bit why I do it, because for the same reason that I don't want people to constantly be pushing themselves harder and harder and harder in each run, I also don't want people chasing kilometers. That's like a whole disease on its own. So for me, the total kilometers are not important. And, as I work with individuals, I realize more and more how unimportant that is for different people. Like I've got people who run marathons very badly if we do any runs longer than 25 kilometers, but they run exceptional marathons as long as we keep the long runs to a maximum of 25 kilometers. And I have other people who need much longer, consistent 20 milers or 32K runs, and some that need a good 40 to 45K within 3 to 4 weeks of that race. So for me, the actual kilometers that you end up with is not the important number, and you certainly don't need to be chasing them. Those programs and the time that you spend on your feet will adequately prepare you aerobically for the challenge that you've set yourself, be it a 21K, a marathon, an ultra marathon. And so at the end of the cycle, we can always have a look back and go, that's how many Ks we did. And then perhaps in future years, we can use those as targets to slightly tweak and to work around. But I always tell everybody who asks me how many Ks we're going to run that I work with one-on-one, I'll say, we'll see when we get there. It depends on what we did the week before and how we systematically build up on that. And, again, when we're working with more generic programs, those programs are built on layering, assuming that we're going to get the first layer sorted, we build the second layer on top of that, And so the actual number of kilometers that you end up running really is not important.
Yeah, and Lindsay, that's often why it's so important to just not necessarily not question the process, but trust the process. So ask the questions you need to ask, but then go, okay, cool, I like that thinking, and I'm going to trust it. So it's difficult when you have have been chasing miles or kilometers your entire athletic career, and then all of a sudden you change to time based to not question it. But sometimes you just have to, you know what? I've asked the questions, those answers satisfied me. I'm going to trust the process over a fairly long period of time to see if I get the results.
Yeah, exactly. Look, you have to ask questions. You have to be comfortable with the explanations. But on the other side of that, you have to be a little bit careful of continually getting confirmation bias. So, if you don't like the answers that you're getting, have a look at what you've done in the past. And if what you've done in the past isn't working, then it's probably time, even if you don't like the answer you're getting, to give something else a try. Of course, if what you've done in the past has really worked and you're getting great results, of course, then if you don't like this way of thinking, it is important that in your mind that you maybe aren't confident in what you're going to do, but you're comfortable in giving it a go. So yeah, I agree. Ask the question, get the answer, and then reflect on what you have done in the past, and then make a decision whether it's time to try something new or not. And obviously, if you're a newbie and you've never run before, well, trust it. And if it doesn't work out, then there are other questions to be asked and things to be analyzed.
Yeah, and that's an important point too, Lindsay. There's no one size fits all. We are all individuals and sort of experiments of one, and what works for me might not necessarily work for you, but there are certain things that work for a lot of people, and you want to guide and base your training and your racing along those sorts of things.
Yeah, no, I mean, I absolutely agree. I think the majority of people are similar, and then there are exceptions that move you slightly left or right of that line. And the only thing that's going to teach you which side of that line you fall on is experience and results.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you just got to back yourself and do it for a while to see if you do get the results. I mean, we had a great story in the forums, which I shared on one of our podcasts a few weeks ago about I'm trying to think, it was Chris who was training for the Brighton marathon and was aiming for a sub 4 marathon, and always done a distance based and lots of high intensity stuff, but was always struggling with injuries, and then flicked over for the Cape Town marathon last year to a time based, building that aerobic base, and 2 weeks, I think it was 2 weeks before his 58th birthday, ran a sub 4 marathon for the first time. So amazing what you can do when you trust that process and just follow the steps, and you get the results. Lindsay, as always, great to catch up. Thanks for your time. Don't forget, if you'd like to check out the online training club, all you need to do is head over to coachparry.com/join. And if you'd like to win yourself 3 months access to it, make sure you use the hashtag #BiogenJourney on social media. Tell us what you're training for, what you need help with, and we could be selecting you as a winner. That hashtag, once again, is hashtag #BiogenJourney. Until next time, from the two of us, it's cheers.